Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Hope you've been enjoying your Wednesday so far and hope you're having a great evening. I got you an update on this winter storm. This is a big update, guys. There's been a lot of changes today. I will mention I'm going to, in the beginning of this video, cover areas like Texas, Louisiana, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about areas of Kentucky, West Virginia, and then how the Mid-Atlantic is going to get a pretty intense snow band tomorrow around Maryland, Washington, D.C., maybe all the way up through Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York City, and Boston. And then we're going to get into the meat of the video and talk about the Southeast and all the crazy model trends today and really dive deep on what could potentially go on and really show you why there's so much model disagreement and what really links to these downstream solutions that these models are really showing. So if you guys have not subscribed, hit the subscribe button for me. Like the video if you like it. Hit me up on Twitter. It's a great way to stay up to date with the most up-to-date information. I'm talking hourly to every 2 hours. Facebook's a great way to keep up with me too. And that's linked to my Instagram. So definitely give me a follow and like on them. It's a great way to stay connected. Like I said, if you guys have not subscribed, hit the subscribe button for me. Like the video if you like it. I appreciate all you guys. Much love, for real. It's been a lot of growth over the last 2 weeks. So let's check this out. These pinks, that's winter storm warnings for southern areas of Texas. Now, granted, it doesn't, the winter storm warning criteria down there is very, very low, and I'll show you that here in a second. So it doesn't take much for them to prompt that. You got winter weather advisories just to the north of that, and I think there could be a light wintry mix. There's a winter weather advisory up for areas of Louisiana and even some southern counties of Mississippi. I know that's probably a little bit of surprise for y'all. In the middle of this, you'll have a severe thunderstorm watch as there's some severe weather going on right now. We're not going to talk much on that. Winter weather advisories right in here. We'll talk a little bit about that. Y'all will get a nice little snow event, and then winter weather advisories up for portions of the southern northeast and areas of the mid-Atlantic with I think a nice snow band will set up tomorrow for a few hours for you guys. And then you have winter storm watches up, which we talked about this morning. And it's going to be interesting how they cut back on these or what goes to a winter weather advisory and things like that. So I know for me personally, I'm a little bummed. The model trends have not, if anybody follows me on Twitter, y'all have seen me today. I've been acting very annoyed, and it's just unfortunate because my area has not seen anything significant. And significant for Columbia, South Carolina, which is where I live, is only an inch of snow. That's significant for us. Hadn't seen anything like that in almost 8 years, and it was really looking like this storm was going to do it, and it still could. And I'll talk about that here in a second. But this is temperatures right now. These are actually people's weather stations, and so these are actually real life observations. But you can tell where the cold front is dipping down, where the boundary is. It's going to continue to move on. Notice in these areas that have winter storm warnings right now are into the 80s in southern Texas. That's just how y'all do in Texas. And then it's still pretty mild across the south as the front has not moved through and will continue to sag southeast. Where this Arctic boundary sets up down here is going to matter a lot. How far northwest the wintry precipitation can get, or just moisture in general can get into the Carolinas. And we'll talk about that here in a second. But let's take a look at the HRRR model. This is the latest long range. The next long range will come out pretty soon. And we're flowing through this really quick. A nice snow event for you folks in West Virginia and Kentucky. This will be a quick hitting event. I don't think it's going to be very crazy or anything. It's going to happen all overnight as the cold Arctic front moves through. A little bit of rain for the southeast, not much. But this is when that nice little band sets up. It's called an antifront. It's basically usually starts as rain, then turns to snow, and it's usually oriented with an Arctic boundary. So for you folks, let's say, and getting into Maryland, you'll wake up to probably, especially central to western portions of Maryland, and then southeastern Pennsylvania, northern New Jersey. You'll wake up to probably a nice thump of snow. Then this could drop a couple inches in a couple hour period. It really could. Washington, D.C., you're included. You've had quite a few events now, Washington, D.C., so you're making up for lost time with all the whiffs y'all have had over the last few years. But notice this is around 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is a nice band of snow making its way all the way from Washington, D.C. and Northern Virginia through Maryland, through areas of Delaware. And this will continue to work through all the way through the Delmarva, all the way through New Jersey, New York City as you're working through the late morning hours into the early afternoon hours. And then it'll be gone. And then very cold Arctic air will move through. And then check it out. You got some snow even breaking out in northeast North Carolina and southeast Virginia. That's just a teaser event for you guys. Y'all are getting Usually in setups like this, it seems like it tends to be where the rich get richer. Normally, it's not really spread out, and that's just me being bitter, guys. But we'll keep going here, and this is where our winter. Keep in mind of this. We're going to talk about this later, but then we keep going right here and check out this. The HRRR model shows heavy snow, so way down here in southern Texas, almost near Brownsville, Texas, as you're getting into later in the day, Friday, tomorrow. Not tomorrow. I keep thinking tomorrow is Friday, guys. I'm sorry. Tomorrow's Thursday, but this is getting into Friday. And we'll see how that goes. Is there a low pressure bogged down by this Arctic front? So let's talk about the potential snowfall totals. I'm just going to use the blend of all models here. And, it's just a few inches. I think everybody in the state of Kentucky will see a little bit of snow. I think maybe even areas like Nashville and then areas of the northern half of Tennessee could see a dusting of snow. And then, maybe far southern areas of Ohio could see a little bit, West Virginia. This is not going to be a big event for you guys. I really don't think it is. We keep going forward here, and I'll talk about that band of snow a little bit up close. I'm telling you guys, this is going to be an intense band of snow as you're waking up tomorrow morning. I really think it is. Some people are going to have an inch per hour rates, and pretty intense there for a few hours as it moves through. And we'll keep going here. How much snow could that drop? Well, it could drop in a 2 to 3 4-hour period, a few inches of snow. It could all the way up through southern New England down to Washington, D.C. Could get a couple inches of snow pretty quickly tomorrow. These little two systems are kind of different than each other, but it'll be a nice, pretty snow. And honestly, it'll be something where it drops a couple inches in these areas, and it probably lingers on the ground because you have an Arctic air mass coming down. So it'll probably stay on the ground, for a day or two, depending on how much y'all get. But we'll check out this storm down here. And granted, guys, I know I'm almost 7 minutes in the video. I haven't talked about the southeast, but I'm going to get to it. You look in southern areas of Texas, and this is really cranking up for you guys. I don't know if I believe the HRRR model is just showing heavy snow in the far southern areas of Texas Friday morning. It's unbelievable, but these things can get a little tricky. I'm not going to totally downplay that at all, but as far as snowfall totals, what's showing up on here, not a lot. I mean, like a tenth of an inch. You look at ice, it shows, maybe a glaze of ice down there. Certain areas are showing, a good tenth of an inch of ice. We'll see how that plays out. And I want to take a look at the Corpus Christi. I say that all the time. The Corpus Christi. I said the same thing when Hurricane Nicholas was hitting you guys several months ago. Old Corpus Christi. Sorry to call y'all that. Corpus Christi. Check it out. You got a winter storm warning, and the expected accumulations are just an inch or lower, or a tenth of an inch of ice. So it doesn't take much down in these areas. But this could trend higher, so I'm watching this area. So we're going to talk about the southeast now, and hopefully some of you guys have stuck with me here. So this is the latest. Well, this is the 12Z Euro, right? So we'll back it up here. You guys, if you watched the video this morning, saw the early morning Euro. This is the next one. It's moving through. Shows a little bit of freezing rain breaking out Friday morning for areas of southeastern North Carolina and the PD of South Carolina. This continues to work through and shows more freezing rain getting almost all the way down into Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, and then it switches to nice snow. And then you'll get what you call a late bloomer, where the low pressure strengthens and it throws a more expansive shield of precipitation back into North Carolina. That happens, and probably late Friday you start to get a nice couple wraparound bands of heavy accumulating snow, maybe briefly. Now, you notice this is much further. If you watch the past couple videos, this is much further southeast. It's a lot less precipitation for everybody. I know I got a lot of people who watch from South Carolina because that's where I started my channel, just talking weather about South Carolina. For us, it's not a good look. But if you look at the latest 18Z run and you go back to that same time frame, and this just came out, and I'm glad it came out before I dropped this video. Check it out. Brings the precipitation back a little bit further west. In fact, a good bit. And not really early on, as you got freezing rain breaking out as far west as the Midlands of South Carolina, all-out ice storm cranking up for areas of North Carolina. But check it out. Low pressure pops up a little bit closer, then it starts to throw back the frozen precipitation of snow all the way back into the Piedmont of North Carolina and then to the Midlands of South Carolina upstate. And I'm telling you guys, it'll be cold enough that whatever does fall, even though this is showing up as very light, And I'll click a sounding here in Fairfield County, South Carolina. It's 27 degrees, light snow falling. Anything's going to stick. It's not going to take much to get a dusting. In fact, I think the snowfall ratios will be pretty high. But you take a look at the sounding in eastern North Carolina, 23 degrees and ripping and accumulating quickly. So the thing is, in this situation, you're not dealing with a marginal situation, meaning the temperatures are not very warm. They're pretty cold. So anything that falls is going to accumulate very quickly. You look at the latest GFS, it's the one that dropped on the evening run. We'll bring this through. Very weak. Brings maybe a little bit of light snow breaking out as the front initially moves through late Friday night and getting into Friday morning. A little bit of wintry mix setting up for areas of South Carolina and North Carolina. The low pressure kind of begins to strengthen a little bit, throw some more precipitation back in. But a solution like this, the cold, it's much colder. It would bring areas like Charleston, even further south than Charleston, a period of freezing rain, sleet, and then it continues to kind of back build as a low pressure develops. And then areas like Myrtle Beach, Wilmington can end as snow. It's a scenario, but if you look at this compared to the last run, this is the current run, this is the last run, this is the run before that, this is the run before that. I mean, you can't get a more clear trend southeast than that. This is the run four runs ago, bang, 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 and so it's clearly trended southeast, but we're showing hints on some models over the last few hours that maybe things are trending back northwest, but I don't know if that's just us wanting to really see it or if it's really happening. But you look at the latest Canadian model. There is an 18Z Canadian model where it looked a little more west than this, but it doesn't have the best graphics to look at it. But, here it goes. Doesn't show much, but it blows up a good. If the Canadian was to happen, this would be a nice snowstorm for eastern areas of South Carolina. This would show a lot more snow instead of ice. For eastern areas of North Carolina, and even gets a band back all the way to Columbia and Charlotte with a couple hours of snow, and then it moves on out. Look at the NAM. The NAM completely just whiffs on the storm. Now, I want to mention, if you guys are still with me in this video, hopefully you guys are, because this is the meat of the video, these models are going to continue to change. So you watch this video, and by the time some of you folks watch it, things could be changed again. I'm just giving you the latest and greatest information. But the NAM, this is from Friday morning, freezing rain and sleet breaking out over eastern South Carolina and then northeast and the PD areas of South Carolina, and then eastern North Carolina. Sorry, guys, it's been a long day. And then it never really back builds this system right here. It does keep periodic periods of frozen precipitation along the coastal areas of South Carolina and North Carolina. But yeah, I mean, nothing much. As far as there being a major factor to the storm, there really isn't one. You look at the latest NAM, this whips it through here. A little bit more robust with the precipitation. If the NAM was to happen, this would be hours on. It would be a full day and a half's worth of freezing rain for portions of even Georgia. It's showing up for Georgia, but portions of South Carolina, eastern areas of North Carolina. This would be a big-time ice storm. It really would. In fact, you go all the way to where it really starts. It starts right around here. This is say 7 a.m. Friday. You get all the way to around, I don't know, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, Saturday morning. That's around 18 hours. That's 18 hours of frozen precipitation for these areas right here. And it might be light to moderate, but if the NAM was to happen, this would be a big-time ice storm for these areas. It really would, guys. A latest HRRR model, which the next one comes out here in about an hour or two. This gave a little bit of some people some hope today, including me. Here it comes. It's rolling through. This might be a nice teaser event from North Carolina, Southeast Virginia as you're working your way into as early as Thursday evening. Maybe some snow breaking out. And then the precipitation might continue. And then look at it still kind of going. And then you're getting into Friday morning. And then some freezing drizzle and sleet and a little bit of snow showers around the Carolinas. And then the low pressure kicks up right here around the Arctic boundary. And then the last couple frames of the HRRR model for Friday morning shows a band really developing here much further northwest than what most models are showing. In fact, it almost gets it almost all the way to Atlanta. We're going to have to hope that we had to, if you're a winter weather fan, you got to cling to the HRRR model and hope that it continues this trend. Because let me tell you, the HRRR model did probably better than every single model once it got in range with that last storm. It really did. I always have liked the HRRR model, but it gained a lot more respect to me. It really did. So this would be a good look for winter weather fans for South Carolina, for people losing hope, because I know my South Carolina folks are starting to lose hope. I am too. So I'm trying to keep the positive vibes, high for us down here. But this is the National Weather Service prediction on what they think for snowfall totals. It's still calling for over half a foot in areas of southeastern Virginia, northeastern North Carolina. The National Weather Service in Raleigh, I believe, is still calling for 4 to 6 inches. But it lowers big time as you get into the more western areas of the Carolinas. It really does. As far as ice, this is a scary part of the storm, and this might be underdone, but especially if something like the NAM was to happen. Showing a little over 1/10 of an inch of an ice in Columbia. This might downtrend. We'll see. But the PD of I think if the hardest hit area of South Carolina specifically will be the PD of South Carolina, and I think areas of the Low Country could get hit hard too. But areas like Florence, a little bit further south and east, you guys could get hit by an ice storm and then a coating of ice and then a coating of snow on top of it. But the ice storm epicenter is going to be right in this area into the Carolinas. It really is. So you got to watch, really do. We'll keep going here. This is ice totals based off the European. Still showing big time totals, but nothing as crazy as it was showing, over the last couple days. You look at snow totals from the Euro, the latest one. And I'm sorry, I don't have the latest Euro up. So let's look at snowfall totals off the 18Z Euro. And it comes back a little further west now, showing a little bit more snow in South Carolina, a little more snow even for southeast Virginia. I mean, this is showing like if you're in Norfolk, Virginia, I never can say that right. A lot of snow, southern tip of Delaware and Maryland. Watch out for these areas. I'm at Delaware. I'm sorry. Watch out for these areas in Virginia. The areas of Virginia and the southern areas of Delmarva area right in here could be a jackpot here. But, it shows you a nice 8-inch total there in Raleigh, and then throws you a bone in Charlotte and gives you a couple inches of snow. You look at the latest freezing rain here, guys. I'm sorry if I'm lack of energy here. I'm starting to get kind of tired. I had to drive all the way to Hendersonville today for some business, and, man, I'm wore out. But the ice totals come more inland now, and as opposed to the 12Z Euro, and then you are starting to show up a little bit more ice totals for areas a little bit further west. So we got to watch these trends. We do. Models are going to continue to move. So the latest GFS, this is as far as ice totals, and this shows a solid glaze of ice very far south. This would give Charleston, South Carolina, almost a 1/4 inch of ice. The latest NAM. I want to mention, if you look at let's go on and look at the 3km NAM, and show that crazy solution that I was talking about where it gives hours on end of freezing rain. So this is all the way only to 60 hours out, and it's still going. It is. Look at all this freezing rain showing up for these areas down here in South Carolina, even in Georgia. But look at the coastal areas of the Carolinas. This is bad icing. It really is, guys. So the ice storm part of this has not went away at all. It really hasn't. But really what's setting up this storm is you got cold air coming down, okay? For people wondering why is there so much confusion? Cold air's coming down. Arctic front stalls right here. So we'll freeze this for Friday morning. Let's freeze it for Friday afternoon, where I think the meat of the storm, whatever storm's going to be here, will be. You can obviously tell where the Arctic boundary is setting up. We're looking at the GEFS ensembles. The reason you can tell is because you can look at Florida. It has not crossed Florida. So it looks like it's stalling out right into here. Low pressure is going to ride here. So you got the cold air, right? That's not the problem. The problem is figuring out where that Arctic boundary is going to stall out and figuring out when these two pieces of energy, if they're going to phase together, if they're not, how close are they going to get? You need these two pieces of energy, and I'm sure you're asking, what are you talking about? This is the northern stream. This is the southern stream. And this is a short wave right here. What we do know is this piece of energy right here is probably not going to budge. It's not going to come north. It's not going to help this piece of energy out here at all. What you really need is you need this piece of energy right here. And I know you're thinking, well, these look the same. I don't even know what I'm looking at. Just think of these more intense colors right here and right here as pieces of energy. You need this to trend southwest, this direction of southwest, and you need it to join forces with this, and that does what we call phasing. And when these phase, they can become a much more robust system with much more precipitation. Therefore, they trend northwest because a stronger low pressure allows for a storm system to kind of control its own destiny and ride a little bit more north. It's kind of like in hurricane season. When you have a stronger hurricane, they typically can plow their way into ridges of high pressure a little bit more. So think of it like this. A stronger storm system controls its own destiny a little bit more, and they're liable to turn a lot more. So that's all I got. I don't know if I explained that in the best possible way, but that's about the best way that I can explain it. But that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. Of course, I'll have you an update in the morning. We'll see how these model runs going. And I'm sorry to say this for people who don't like winter weather, but I am pulling for some better trends overnight. So God bless everybody and have a great evening.